up is our planning and operations update. See a few projects there. Spring is finally here. The sun is shining, so we'll be instructing a few things. So all our projects are listed there, construction projects, both outside contracts and our inside construction crew. Any questions about projects? Anything you want to add, Matt?
No, we're just kind of in the process, of the notice of awards went out for a couple of the larger contracted projects. We're working through getting the final agreements signed and executed and kind of scheduling pre-construction meetings as we get schedules from the contractors. So most of those are kind of in the process. I'd anticipate hopefully, for Hyde and that, we'll be getting started here maybe towards the end of the month with actual groundbreaking. And then for some of the internal projects, again, sort of as weather starts to break, we did kind of work through some of the demolition projects you can see there for Swan Creek. But again, the Nassau exhibits, we're finishing up kind of some interior stuff as we move into spring.
Appropriate to ask a question?
Yeah.
When you decide how you're going to do, because you have a pretty significant construction staff, and I see equipment, I see guys working and everything. What is makes the distinction between a project that you farm out versus a project that you keep in-house?
Internally, typically we'll look at kind of what type of construction is involved. I mean, obviously with new park development, usually things like trail construction, boardwalks, those are the things we'll do in-house. Some of the smaller demolition stuff we'll handle in-house, the exhibit spaces, anything that sort of fits well with our construction crew skill set. Again, when we get into large earthwork, entry drives, roads, that sort of construction, paving, that's typically where we'll go out with contracted work. The last couple of years, I would say the majority of our work during kind of the construction season has been trail work. We found that our skill set matches that really well, and when you look at what trails cost us constructed through a contract versus internally, there's a substantial savings there. So that's typically where we kind of identify what makes the most sense to do internally versus outside contract.
And kind of general maintenance like painting, cleaning, or not cleaning, but painting, replacing a toilet.
So typically, the way our grounds and facilities is broken, we have a construction crew with 5 people on that, and then we have kind of our grounds and facilities that do all the maintenance, mowing, painting. So annually, Brett has guys that are doing, staining, painting. We have a broken window, they'll get that repaired, that sort of thing. So that kind of falls more into just general maintenance versus the construction stuff you're seeing is more geared towards, those guys just working on construction projects.
Okay.
And then the other thing to add is timeline and schedule. So if we want to build an entire new park in the construction season, with, as you saw, larger shelter, parking lots, roads, things of that nature, we don't have the staff or the equipment on site to do that. So double contract. So.
And you usually use a GC for that?
Yeah.
Generally? Yeah. Have you ever thought about handling these projects more internally and becoming a GC and then hiring the sub-trades rather than paying the percentage to the GC?
We've typically gone with the GC is usually self-performing 51% of the contract, so they're not like a traditional GC where they're just general contracting. They're usually self-performing 51% of the contract. Then internally, our staff, we act more as owner's rep in that capacity, working with them, kind of managing the project.
Is that required that the GC perform 51%?
Yes, in our bid documents, that's required.
Okay. I'm new, so I haven't.
That's fine.
And...
That's fine. All right. Any other questions from the board on project updates? Okay.
Can I ask maybe a simple question about Matt's report?
About which?
Matt, just about the planning and update form. I'll ask the question and you can answer or not answer.
You can ask a question. I don't. You have time.
And on the form, I believe it says that the roads course was approved for $60,000. I don't have it right in front of me, but I wanted to ask when that was approved and if there was a design that went with it. Like with the rock wall, in the public records request for the board packet, we saw the rock, the company and all that and the specifications, but I don't recall seeing anything like that for the roads. I don't recall hearing about when that was approved. So I just wanted clarification on that.
I can clarify that.
Please do.
Okay, so that was approved as part of our annual budget, which I believe was done, it was presented multiple times last year and approved. Gloria would help me out.
In August was the final approval, it's presented in.
So it's a budgetary item.
So there was
As-
roads course last August in the budget?
Yes,
It was in the budget for
It
this
was
year.
in the budget for this year.
Okay.
now, if you look under there, it says RFQ. So just as a rock wall, we still have to go out with a request for qualifications. So there's a budgetary amount, but we have not contracted. The board will see all recommendations.
Okay, so you don't have
For the roads course?
Yes.
you've not gone to that same level of the design plan yet?
No, so
Okay.
we're still at the qualification standpoint. So what you're seeing here is everything that is included in the 2017 budget. Actually, the NASA telescope, it says 2016 next to that, because that's a carryover from 2016's budget. So these are all approved budget,
They're all, if I look at the 2017.
they're approved in the budget, but however, we have not gone through design yet, which the board will see. And a contract will not be awarded until they.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, at the roads course is 0, so yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Next up is bid award recommendations for materials, aggregate materials. Bid opening on Friday for materials associated with this project.
John, if I can give kind of brief descriptions. So the bid opening for this was actually Friday. What this is for, internally, we're building the trails out at High Kaplan, but per ORC, if we go over $50,000 for materials, and it's gonna be possibly coming from one vendor, we do need to publicly advertise that and bid it. So we anticipate, we've budgeted approximately $56,800. So we did go out with advertisement for bid. Included in there is we had 5 different companies pick up the bid documents. We did receive only one bid from Arms Trucking. The cost came in pretty similar to what we anticipated and budgeted. And earlier in the year, we did have some, Brett went out with some bids for just routine aggregate for maintenance throughout the year. And the numbers are pretty similar there. So we are recommending awarding based on the cost. It will be purchased at that unit cost, but again, we anticipate we could possibly exceed $50,000 on this project, so that's why I didn't go
Of
through.
all these companies, only Arms responded?
Yes.
That's amazing. What kind of material was that again?
It's number 10, screenings, limestone 304, 411, ODOT 1s and 2s, and then also recycled 304.
Recycle.
Yeah, recycled 304.
When you say recycle, you're talking about crushed concrete?
Yeah, and sometimes we use that more as a base course.
Okay. We have about 40,000 there sitting in one of our cemeteries. No, we're gonna build our own trails. It's an interesting way to watch what they do. I'm just amazed. Kurt's 3Z, they didn't bid. Wow. Well. Did you ask why?
Well, I mean, we'll do the advertisement, we can follow up afterwards. You know, based on what we saw in some of the other bids, I think for the annual maintenance, we only received 2 bids.
Yeah, I think when I went out, I sent it to 7, and I think I got 2 back.
Yeah, I saw that we're,
And even, Ontario usually they'll sometimes, submit.
Is the bid in here?
Oh, yeah, it's on, actually, if you go to Dan's memo, the very last sheet is the the actual bid. There's the handwritten one we opened and read it, but their actual bid is the last one, is the bid form. So that's the $20.70 a ton. It kind of starts out with, number 10. Budget-wise, we're typically budgeting about $40 per yard, which, depending on the ton, usually breaks down to 1.8 to 2. So between $20 and $22 a ton is kind of what we're anticipating for budget reasons.
So they deliver it